enjoy!
And I'm Bing Bong! Oh wait, that wasn't his voice. It was Richard Kind. I'm Bing Bong! I can't do Richard Kind. You know what? I'm anger. That I can do.
That we know you can do.
That I can do.
And this is Sibling Rivalry. Ever wonder what the little voices inside your head are? Well, you should probably get looked at. But in this case, it's your emotions.
Turns out it's not neurosis, it's cute.
Well, it can be both.
It can be cute and neurotic.
Pixar's latest film personalizes your emotions into 5 characters, and they go on this incredible adventure.
You're making it sound like something to be sold. We personalize your emotions.
They Pixar
and sell it to you.
That's kind of what they're doing.
Yeah,
but by God, do they do it well. You know, whenever somebody's asking, like, in any of our other reviews, I mean, really this or Nostalgia or anything, when I say, I want something new, I want something fresh, I want a new spin, even if it's on something we've seen before, just challenge us and do something visual, but is also dialogue-wise very interesting, and it's smart, and it's funny, it's creative, it has fantastic characters. This is about as close to a perfect movie as I can imagine, honestly, especially with this concept.
So what you wanted was a retread of Herman's Head.
And also, actually, Disney did kind of do this before. There's a cartoon, do you remember the really sexist one, like from the 50s or whatever, with Ludwig von Drake? You remember that?
Ludwig von Drake, but,
how dare I insult that real person's name?
Actually, no, I don't remember that.
It was, you know, the guy's point of view, which is like, you know, it was actually kind of funny. It's like this very sophisticated guy who's doing most of the driving, then just this caveman who's like waiting to break out, and they're like driving the guy.
Oh my God, I totally remember that.
No, but then
Pixar, you ripped it off.
But then they go to the woman's head, and it's all about, like, you know, the big disasters that they overeat. It's like, oh no, sundaes and cake, we're gonna get fat. And
it makes the gender stereotypes in this movie look positively progressive.
Right? But no, it's one of those things where, so this idea of, like, having emotions in your head, like Herman's Head, like, even back in the 50s, Disney
we'll talk about that, because
I
honestly, I don't care.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's been
There's
done
a few
before,
people out there who do, apparently, but I don't.
But they've done a whole new twist on it, and they have done practically everything that can be done with this idea, and it works for both children and adults. Both can watch it and really enjoy it. In my opinion, it has the workings of really a classic family film, because everybody can watch it, everybody can get something out of it. It's funny, it's moving, it's big shock emotional, it's visually interesting, but they dive into really interesting ideas and visually show it, but they also talk about it as well. There's no, you know, it's never too visual or too talky. It's just a perfect balance. And all the actors are great. Amy Poehler, I love Amy Poehler. Louis Black is finally used to his potential in a goddamn movie.
Oh my God, is he great?
I mean, how many times have we seen him in a film, and it's just like, damn it, you're Louis Black. What the fuck are you doing in this piece of shit? Finally, here's a film that utilizes
This is a great cast, and he still steals the fucking show.
The way they animate the mannerisms that he has.
Oh, they captured his mannerisms, like, hands down. I'm just like, wow, it's
creepy
this
how well
little red box with a couple of eyes, and yet I'm like, still, that's somehow Louis Black.
Yeah, they really capture him perfectly. And it shows, in my opinion, you know, not a groundbreaking new lesson, but certainly one you don't see, definitely not in children's films, but not in many films either, is the importance of sadness. That really is what this film is about, the importance of all your emotions.
Well, not only that, but I liked it because it was also the Wreck-It Ralph moral, which is, sometimes you don't get your happy ending, so deal with it.
Yeah, and that's another, that's another great element about it. We talk about films, well, what do you mean go all the way with something? Well, what do you mean, you know, push it and own it and stuff? This is what I'm talking about. When a character dies, they die. When a character has to live with a situation, it's not, oh, we get our happy ending. No, they live with the situation. This is part of evolving.
Films like this are more about a catharsis than getting everything you want. Which I think is a much more healthier moral myself. But we also grew up on Don Bluth films, so...
Well, I think at some point you leaned over and you just said, you know, I think this is a Don Bluth film disguised as a Pixar movie.
There's a particularly maudlin kind of melancholy section that has to deal with like sacrifice and this and that, and I turned to you and I'm just like, this is a Don Bluth film disguised as a Pixar movie.
And I'm waiting, I told you, I was waiting for that sacrifice to be retconned. I was waiting for it to come back, and I was like, oh, that sacrifice actually, it mattered, but no, what you thought was being lost wasn't really being lost.
Okay.
No, what was lost was lost.
Yeah, well, it's okay, because we saved the day, so everything works out. Yeah, spoiler alert, they saved the day. Like, I can see, spoilers drop! Like, but, yeah, it's like,
the girl goes insane. She's in a mental institution.
She ends up in a straitjacket in the rubber room, yeah, as they're all fighting amongst each other. I was thinking the same thing. I thought for sure that sacrifice was going to be just kind of undone because, oh, well, they saved the day and everything's back to normal, and no.
No, it stayed.
And I'm like,
kudos. I mean,
dark Pixar.
Well, this is no, but they have the backing. They have the balance to back it up. And what's so great about it is it's not like, oh, well, this sacrifice happened just because kids' films, they hear this is something they need. Like, you know, again, Jupiter Ascending. Like, oh, we're putting this in because we hear this is what epics need. No, it makes sense both for the children watching it and for the adults because they know this is part of growing up and how these things do kind of disappear and these sacrifices do happen. And that's just it's part of the mind, it's part of the mental stability. And it's just so clever the way they take some really well done, I mean, I hate to use the term symbolism, but it really is for, you know,
symbolism!
But I mean, they really use it for, you know, for these different emotions and these different stages of growing up, and they totally run with them. They go all the way so that a child can watch and enjoy all the kind of cool colors of them turning into the abstract thoughts, but the grown-ups can be like, those are real abstract conditions they're talking about. Those are real steps, and those are real levels. And when the kid gets older, they can suddenly look at and even learn some of these abstract concepts.
Now see, there's a rant I let you go off on, and now people won't be shitting on you.
Well, no, it just does remind, because it's apples and oranges, but you know how you said Jurassic World made you feel like a kid again watching it? You know, and fair enough, I respect it. This is the movie that made me feel like a kid again.
Oh, this did too.
Yeah, this is totally, incredibly joyful.
I'm apparently
but also
easy to impress. I don't know.
But this has all the levels of such a great creative animated family film.
You know, yeah, and there's already the very small backlash of how dare critics say it's original because Herman Gerd, it's Herman's head. Oh my god. Okay, first off, I regret ever even saying that because I took part in that. I saw the trailer and I thought, oh yeah, it kind of reminds me of Herman's head. But if you're still harping on that now that the movie's out, it's like, just give it up. You're not being original. Every single person who doesn't like this movie, if it begins with Hermite Gerd, it's not original, it's Herman's head, I automatically just completely ignore the link or move on to something else. And I was watching a video earlier and somebody mentioned Herman's head and I'm like, oh Christ. It didn't even bother. Like,
yeah, no,
if you're
gonna let that ruin the film for you.
Sorry hipster ass. You know, you weren't the only ones who sat there and lived through that decade and actually watched a few episodes of Herman's Head. We did. And yes, it was a shitty show, though it's actually much funnier now because it's just so bad it's kind of funny. But, yeah, no, just stop. Stop. And yes, I know this Pixel movie coming out is a Futurama episode. And it's fun to make fun of it now. But if it comes out and it's a decent movie, just shut up about it.
Well, I mean,
there we go.
But again, this is taking an idea that, you know, has been done. And again, I can even point back to that Disney cartoon years ago. I mean, this isn't the newest idea, but it takes it pushes it in this new direction and does everything that can be done with this idea that has not been done before.
What I will say is that while it's not the most original idea, oh my god, there's people running your brain, it's wildly inventive. I think that's the better term to use, because what they did with that idea in running with it is really inventive and a lot of fun to watch. I liked all the different little lands spread out. I liked how they represented her core memories and filing them away, and it's
The train of thought ripped off Shark Boy and Lava Girl too, so oh no, can't enjoy it.
That's how you do a train of thought pun
Yeah.
or metaphor in a movie. This movie is how you do it. Shark Boy and Lava Girl, not so much.
I sort of thought watching, I was like, this is what that movie should have been in terms of tying in like dreams and thought and stuff like that.
This movie,
and being really smart and really creative.
No, you want an example of how to do a kids film and how not to do a kids film. How not to do a kids film. Shark Boy and Lava Girl. How to do a kids film. This movie. No, but it was wildly inventive and it was creative in just all the little universes and worlds and ways of representing they should have when they go into the abstract thought, when they go into the dream world.
I mean, dream world looks like Hollywood and it's done like a set.
It's something a particularly clever, I don't mean this in a bad way, it's something a particularly clever kid would come up with. It feels like something you would see inside a kid's head, not so much an adult's. But I think that's why it made me feel like a kid, because, like, who didn't draw images of the brain, you know, at some point, and, like, you know, with the little
my
gears,
part of the brain,
yeah,
the dream,
gears and wheels and stuff like that, and, you know, well, we were artistic kids, but maybe not every kid, but, you know, kids do that sort of thing, and they think like that, and I like the fact that it worked that way, versus... I think that this director also did Monsters, Inc., didn't he?
Maybe. I'm pretty sure he also did Up. I want to say
he did Up.
I want to say it's the person who did Up and also Wreck-It Ralph, but I'm not sure. No, like another director who did Wreck-It Ralph as well, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong. But anyway, yeah, where are we going?
Point being, this gets it right, where Monsters, Inc. to me just didn't. That whole... Like, alright, I'm just gonna say, I'm one of the few people who didn't like Monsters, Inc. that much. I know, I'm a terrible person, I have no soul.
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fantastic, but I think it's okay.
The baby kept going, "Boo," and he says boo at the end, and I'm going, ah!
Well, it's a she, technically.
She, yeah. So, the funny thing is, watching Monsters, Inc. again, I saw it again recently, it was running on one of the stations. That part of it I don't mind so much, even though it really is fucking Baby's Day Out with colorful monsters. It's that whole side plot with the corporation and the alternate form of energy, and we don't need to scare kids. We can do this. It's completely over kids' heads, and it doesn't mesh with anything. And I feel like between this and then Up had an interesting problem, which is the first 10 minutes of Up. Maybe one of the best pieces of cinema ever put to celluloid, ever put to film. And the rest of the movie's okay. It's fine. It's perfectly good.
I really like the rest of the movie.
There's nothing wrong with the rest of the movie, but it's like that 10 minutes kind of if you ask most people, what did you like most about Up, they'll say one of two things. The first 10 minutes or squirrel! Yeah. Like, it's one of those two things. Like, nobody, like, really talks about the rest of the movie that much, so... In a strange way, even though that one part of Up, there's no moment in this movie that is as good as that first 10 minutes in Up. But as an overall film, I actually think this is the better movie. I think it's better than Monsters, Inc. I think it's better than Up as a complete project. There's no moment as good to me as that first 10 minutes in Up, but if you ask me which is the better movie altogether, totally this one. Like, this guy, I think, finally has nailed it.
You know, I
has made a completely whole, good movie, beginning to end, which is one of Pixar's problems. Nobody talks about it much, but some of the ones, you know, that we remember, they're pretty good. They're half a movie. WALL-E is half a movie. And the first half is one of my favorite films of all time. And the second half I couldn't give a shit about. You know, and Up is another where the first 10 minutes is one of the greatest movies of all time, and the rest of it is pretty good. You know, so, and Brave was another one where it starts off kind of interesting and goes in all sorts of weird circles, and so this really is the first Pixar movie of this type that I think really works beginning, middle, end perfectly.
I don't know, I thought Toy Story 2 was pretty...
Oh, no, I said of this type. I'm talking about your, like, Up, or, what the hell was the other one I was just talking about?
Monsters, Inc.?
WALL-E. No, Up, WALL-E, those, outside of the Toy Story realm. You know, probably the best of this type since Finding Nemo, or, actually, no, I'd go Ratatouille.
But,
yeah, so...
I mean, for me, Honestly, I would even kind of make an argument there are a few scenes. I mean, for me, it's I'm still so close to it, it's hard to tell. But there are a few scenes I would actually kind of argue are just as good as that opening 10 minutes because you kind of know where it's going. You know that it's going to teach this very important lesson that you need sadness, that sadness is important. This is such a perfect time for that message now, honestly. I think with the social media and everything, I think so many people have gotten so sucked into the online world, and sometimes their emotions can just lead everything. I mean, and they don't have much control because there's not much consequences, and so the emotions take over and there's not too much thought sometimes. And that's not everybody, but you all know you've seen those people. And this is something where for years, growing up and everybody has been taught sadness is kind of a bad thing. You don't want to be too sad, and you don't. But you also don't want to be too happy either. Well, and you don't want to deny reality, and they show the usefulness and the importance
and the way they
of sadness in such a well way.
The way they represent that was so clever because I swear to God, I was sitting there thinking for the first half of this movie, I got completely wrapped up into it, and I'm like, fucking sadness? Stop messing everything up! And by the end of it, you get to the moral, and it's like, yeah, I guess there is a use, but, they really suck you in, and you get this, because anything, she's got, the sadness has, this Midas touch, and anything she touches, turns to sadness, and you're completely wrapped up in the story, and you're like, will you stop touching things?
I really wish I could have seen this film maybe 8 or 9 years earlier, honestly, because even though it's a new
I totally agree.
Even though I knew sadness was important and everything, and it's good to accept, it's good to mourn, and it's good to everything, there was always this part of me that has gotten me in trouble before where I sort of was if I'm just happy and upbeat and optimistic about everything, it's okay. And if I can make them happy and upbeat and optimistic, it's okay. If I make the person I'm talking to happy, upbeat, everything will be alright. And sometimes you just need that acknowledgement that something bad has happened or you're going through something really emotional or tough, and you just need to be there and you need to acknowledge that this is a sad moment. And I really think that's what this film shows. Yeah, this is what that film shows in such a brilliant way. The scene that really got me the most, I won't give it away too much, but it's when Joy's looking at this ball. I don't think it was a core memory, but it was, a happy memory, and she rewinds it. And I won't go into any more on that, but that really is the scene where I'm like, God, that just so fucking brilliantly shows the importance of sadness.
It was a big reveal, and it reminded me of the Wreck-It Ralph moral. It's more about having a catharsis and being okay with yourself and letting your emotions go versus just getting everything you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end, life doesn't always work that way, and you just have to just freaking deal with it. But to your point about any scenes as good as Up, it's too early.
That scene I would kind of say.
It's very good. It's too early to tell.
Mm. No, there's some truth to that.
There's a lot. I have no problem, but with this movie, but there is a lot of hyperbole going on because there's a lot of people who are I know Richard Roper just came out and he's like, this may be one of the best films of the decade. And this is certainly the best film of the year so far. And we've got another friend who's a local critic, and he's like, one of the greatest films ever made. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I feel like I need to kind of see it again.
Let it sit. Yeah,
I don't really want to make big proclamations, particularly because I don't want to oversell it. Because if I'm just maybe one of the greatest movies ever made, greatest movies of the decade. If I oversell it, I feel like people are going to walk
immediately backlash.
Yeah, thinking it's an immediately backlash. And I hope they don't, because the other strange thing about this movie is the trailer blew. I mean, that was a shitty trailer.
I'm like, oh, this looks really good. I thought maybe, everyone else was like,
I thought maybe you were right. I thought maybe you were right, and I'm like, you know what, maybe I'm the only one. And then I went online, and I was talking about how good the film was.
Yeah, and everyone said, oh, the trailer was awful.
I had so many people really? This looked like shit from the trailer. So whoever is marketing this, you suck at your job.
No, but think about it. I mean, every Pixar movie has, pretty much been a hit. And, honestly, every Pixar trailer I've ever seen looked awful. I've never seen a Pixar trailer I'm like, ooh, I'm excited. Honestly, this is probably the first one I was excited for because I got used to it.
I was excited for WALL-E. I was excited for Up. I was fucking excited as hell for Brave, and that was a letdown.
I take it back. That was the only one I got excited for, and thus,
but this trailer, I just I'm just like, ugh. I'm just like, what the hell? I literally thought, oh Christ, here we go again. Pixar's decline. They're continuing to, like, and I'll be the first to admit, holy shit, how wrong I was. Don't believe that, if you thought the trailer sucked, don't believe the trailer.
Don't you believe
it was really better than it looks, and I have no problem admitting that, because I thought this was gonna suck.
You know, something that I was saying is that, because I can see someone going in and being like, well, okay, it's good, but I wasn't quite as sucked in as like everyone else is. Like, honestly, I can see that. The one thing that I think I really have to just say, I mean, hands down, this is probably one of the best written scripts I've, seen in years.
Yeah,
I mean, just on paper, this is fucking ingenious.
There's like, it's like Rotten Tomatoes it's sitting at 98%. There's like 4 critics, who are giving negative reviews, and God bless you, because I don't think you're going to be able to walk out in the streets at night. But yeah, one of them was talking about like, and it's just not a good script. I'm like, did we see the same movie?
Yeah,
like, there's a couple that are very legitimate reviews. I'm like, I see where you're coming from. I disagree vehemently, but there's a couple though where I'm just like, no. I'm like, you couldn't have seen this. There's no way. And it was like, yeah, the comedy's lame. The script is lame. I'm like, what? I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I was like, because we laughed hard.
Yeah,
like, really hard at
I will say,
scenes.
not as much as, say, like, Toy Story.
Oh, it's not a laugh a minute script.
Yeah, but
when it hits
everything
a stride,
else is so
really hits a stride.
This is the first movie in a while I can think of where when they said, we're going to Imagination Land, or we're going to Dreamland, or we're going to the subconscious.
I couldn't wait.
I was excited. Yeah. Oh my God, what are they going to do with this? And they didn't disappoint. They did so cleverly, and each one had their own identity to the world and their own feel. It was so creative.
And this is despite the fact, I will just say it, and this is on me. So don't take this as a criticism like I think Pixar animation sucks in some cases. I cannot stand this overly cutesy, pastel-hued production design on some of these films, and
I do like this a little time.
I'm looking directly at you, Monsters, Inc. and Bugs Life and that sort of thing. Like, some of them, I can't do it. And as on me, I'm not saying that, oh, Pixar, you suck. Like, but it's not my cup of tea. Mm-hmm. And that was one of my worries when I saw the trailers. I'm like, oh, these colors, this is a pastel again. This looks kind of like Monsters, Inc. kind of again. And it's very cutesy production design. So the fact that it had that, and I still loved this movie, despite the fact that when it comes to the art design, it's nothing that really would have interested me, at least on the outset, is saying a hell of a lot. It's a very well put together film.
Yeah.
And the production design, well, the character design makes up for it in the animation. If you just showed me those characters, when I saw them in the trailer, I was like, eh.
They almost look lazy.
They almost look lazy, and I don't want to say that because the animation on them, though, was amazing.
Yeah, the animation on Sadness, particularly, I thought was so good.
On Sadness,
so
on
funny.
Anger, on all of them is amazing when they're actually animated. The character designs themselves don't do anything for me, but when they start moving and talking and have to engage in the comedy, really, really, really good.
And like I said, not just the worlds themselves, but even like the area that they lay out to control the brain, like, and control the mind and make the emotions and stuff. I'm watching this, I'm thinking like, I love this now because I'm looking at all the technicals. I know it's like whenever Anger was about to take control, he summoned it by hitting the panel. These 2 levers always come up, and that is how he signaled. That is how he drove. And every single time that Joy would drive, she sort of swirl this little ball, and and that would work. There was always something unique to every person. They each had this distinct sort of steering wheel and this way of doing it. And if I was a kid, I would love that, because I think the same thing with like the Studio Ghibli films and Miyazaki. I loved seeing how things worked, and I think a lot of kids do, and it makes the world feel more real.
There's a respect for how the machinery works in this. I mean, even though it's the brain or whatever, there's a real... And you're right, it reminds me of Miyazaki, where it's just like, you get the feeling of the gears and the wheels and the levers.
Going down.
It follows it. This was planned out, and the amount of effort that went into this... is kind of mind-boggling.
No pun intended.
Yeah, so, I don't know, it's definitely... It's hard to say if it would be my favorite Pixar film of all time. Again, we're too close to it.
I'm really considering it, but I'm with you. I'm a little close.
I'm saying this, it's in my top 5 easily.
Yeah.
And it's certainly the best since Toy Story 3. It blows... The hell have we had? Cars 2,
Monsters University,
and then frickin' Brave out of the water. I mean, it's no contest. Those films are jokes, frickin' jokes compared to this. But
they reenacted 80s films in Monsters U.
Big deal. I lived through the 80s.
Rob, no, it's a classic. Just can everyone that liked Monsters U, can you please see this film, please? So you can see what I'm talking about. So many people are like, how dare you come down to Monsters U?
No. You know what?
It's like, just please, this is what I'm talking about when I'm looking for something great from Pixar and challenging and new and fantastic and wonderful and just moving and everything. This is what I'm talking about.
Making 80s jokes alone is not enough to do it for me. You have to be good. But yeah. I will say this. Somebody had the best reply, which was, well, I fucking loved all 3 of those movies, and now I'm going to go see this one. Do that.
Yeah, that's what
I don't care if you like those other movies, but just go see this one.
Go see it.
Yeah, so Pixar's back, and the absolute best thing I can say about this film is when Brave won the Academy Award, I just pitched a shit fit. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, the Academy Awards are more of a joke every year. Well, they've always been a joke, but I just couldn't believe it. If this wins the Academy Award this year, I won't be complaining. I don't care if you did an animated version of Schindler's List. At least I'll be like, well, at least this was a really, really good movie. So,
I mean, the last thing I'll say, honestly, is that this is one of the rare films, and sometimes Pixar has done this, and I love feeling it again. It's one of those films that actually does show me the power of film. It shows what you can do with a visual medium that also incorporates sound, incorporates incredible creativity, incorporates thought, incorporates character, incorporates great story, and
the feels. There's a lot of feels.
It just feels like it's all there. It feels like a movie where I'm just like, if there's anything I don't like, is the most extreme level of nitpicking. I mean, I think the one thing I say is, the clown could have been a little scarier. That's about it.
The clown could have been scarier. I was strangely just slightly annoyed that in the guy's head, it's all sports related. The girl's head is like his wife's head is all thinking about like some Brazilian hunk or something. I'm like, wow, okay. Like, this film got really suddenly sexist out of nowhere, but I will say this, though, it's equal opportunity. Like, apparently both the insides of their heads are pretty fucking shallow.
Well, what I like,
laugh,
but honestly...
And they had some good jokes with it, so...
Well, and what I like, but I mean, the girl's a hockey player and stuff like that.
No, I don't know, it was just weird.
There was
something about that, too.
If you're gonna go that route, you can make if you want to go that route, you can make the joke about, like, when she bumps into the boy at the end, which I won't give it away because it's probably the funniest joke in the movie. But you could be like,
that was brilliant.
Yeah, but it's like it's just doing the basic broad strokes.
As I said, it's a nitpick. I'm not. This doesn't wreck anything. That was the only nitpicky thing where I'm just like, yeah, if I had to grab desperately at straws to come up with something,
that was
the only moment in the film where I was taken out a bit, and then. I can't really say that. We would have to go to a spoiler corner. There was one other very small nitpick, but there's not much. This is the closest thing to a perfect Pixar movie we've had in years. At least I know some people think Toy Story 3 is perfect.
I have issues. I mean, it's good. I like it, but
Doug has issues. I think it's a great movie. I don't know if I'd say it's perfect. Doug has more issues than I do with it, but it definitely the closest thing to a perfect Pixar movie since Toy Story 3, if you think that movie's perfect. I don't think anybody's going to say Cars 2 is perfect, so...
Yeah, I say for me, I say at least minimum top 3 for me. For best.
I mean, we're basically in Brad Bird territory in the original Toy Story.
Yeah.
And Finding Nemo, like that set of the first 2 Toy Story movies, Finding Nemo, the Brad Bird films, it's in that caliber.
I like it when I see a film that's really, really built up and has a lot of hype, and it's like, it delivers, and it's I like saying, you know what, they're right, and I can see where they're coming from, and
It's maybe the first one that truly delivered.
yeah,
At least this year.
yeah, no, it's
And Jurassic World for me was fun, but I.
yeah, no, like I said, I mean, this is a film that really shows me, like, you know, this is why I love film. It's movies like this.
It's like medicine for the soul. It restores your faith in cinema a bit.
And
Pixar, for that matter.
yeah. So, yeah, really, really good stuff.
Go see it.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
And if you hate it, then you saw nothing.
So, we'll see you guys next time. Later.